What's going on, everybody? Black Reality TV. Man, I was meaning to do this video earlier, but got so tied up and busy. But shouts out to Rob Parker from FS1, calling out the NFL players about this whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Now, a lot of people got a mixed opinion on Richard Sherman. Now, Richard Sherman has been one of the latest people to speak out, and he's given out a list of teams of potential landing spots that Colin Kaepernick could have went to, and also Doug Baldwin, wide receiver of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Doug Baldwin originally said that he didn't think that his protest had anything to do why he wasn't in the league. Now he has a change of heart, and now he wants to say that it does have pretty much majority of why he's not in the league, or everything to that matter. Now, my issue with Richard Sherman and a lot of these other players is, where was you at when Colin Kaepernick's name was floated around by the Seattle Seahawks first, and Michael Bennett was the loudest one vouching for Colin Kaepernick? Richard Sherman was quiet. A lot of the Seahawks players was quiet. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden you want to come out and want to defend Colin Kaepernick. You had your chance, your opportunity, and I don't like agreeing with Skip Bayless on anything, but Skip Bayless does have a point when he said, where was you at, you know what I'm saying, a couple of months ago when Colin Kaepernick was rumored to be looking at Seattle Seahawks as a possible landing spot. He was quiet as a church mouse. Now all of a sudden you want to come out. But shouts out to Rob Parker though, and also another thing, he makes an excellent point, is this: the players union is really weak. It's probably the weakest in all the sports, is the NFL. They don't stick together. All right. Nobody's willing to stand up for nothing. All right. All these players are running around scared to take a stand against this situation, because they're scared that they're going to make an example out of them as they're doing Colin Kaepernick right now. But we're going to make an example out of these owners in the NFL. I think they're going to get away with this bullshit. But I'm going to play the audio clip of the segment.
Didn't tell anybody he wanted to play football. They called him up, gave him $10 million. And not to be a backup, but to be a starter. So, yeah, absolutely right, Doug Baldwin. Thanks for coming around for what I said from the very beginning.
I'll tell you this, Shannon. Oftentimes, people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. I've always said this about NFL players. By far, the weakest union. They're not committed to each other. This is why they've been run over forever by the owners, and why this happens.
True.
So I blame the players for not being willing. And I get it. You know, guys are so afraid, and they make you so that you can be replaced.
3 years, non-guaranteed
and all
contract.
that, and non-guaranteed, and I get it. And they don't have, but they've allowed this to happen to themselves. They've allowed this to happen, even in this case, with Colin Kaepernick, because there could have been a situation at some other point, but guys are so afraid to really hurt the owners where it matters most, which is pocketbook. They always say, well, they're rich and they don't care and they'll sit out and they don't. No. They're in business for a reason, and it's about money. So Kaepernick is here because the owners know the players are weak and won't do anything about it. And this is where we are. I think this is like one of the worst things, and not that Kaepernick deserves this or a job, or just from the idea of a guy who hasn't done anything wrong other than that. That's the part. The other guys who took part in the protest, they're working. It can't be that. Stop it with fans don't want to buy tickets. And no, they're looking at him. He was the face of it, and we're going to punish you. And we're going to tell you, and you're right. All the other guys in the league, just look at what happened. You better not step out of line. The next time you do that, we'll do the same thing to you. And it bothers me the most that Stephen
Where is
Ross,
DeMaurice Smith, the Players Association? I haven't heard him do any interviews about this situation.
When his players did it, was in the locker room and said, "I support my guys. They have a right to do it."
The only one I know who did that.
The only one. Michigan guy, right? Ann Arbor, the whole 9 yards. Stephen Ross. And when push came to shove and the moment stood up for him to stand out and be different from those other guys, you know what he did? He swung and missed. He passed. And that stuff that Stephen Ross said a year ago means nothing to me now, because the real opportunity would have been for Stephen Ross at this moment to say, not only did I support what my guys did at that time, we need a quarterback. I'd gladly take Colin Kaepernick because he's the best guy available, best guy out there. And that protest stuff doesn't mean anything to me. He didn't do it. And it bothers me that of all places, he didn't follow through.
I don't want to dwell on this, but as we talked about at the top of the show, Colin did wear a T-shirt back in the preseason with Malcolm X and Fidel Castro on it, and you could argue that he burned his bridge in Miami with remarks he then made subsequently in November on a conference call to Miami reporters that they found offensive and uninformed about the murderous tyranny and the Castro dictatorship in Cuba and the Cuban exiles in Miami. So you can argue that was the problem there, and it just became, like, ironically unfortunate, where here's an owner who would have supported, but maybe he was caught rock and hard place between supporting and having to protect the feelings of the Cuban exiles in Miami. So that's an issue there. Look, what both you guys say, could be operating. I'd like to think we're a little more enlightened in 2017 than NFL owners, and I know we're stereotyping the whole group of them, at least 31 of them. We'll leave Steve Ross out of this, but this whole idea of stay in your lane, boy, that whole thing, is it really going on? It could be. You just could be right about it, because it's starting to look worse and worse. I also think it's somewhere in between that and threatening the bottom line, the revenue stream, because so many fans have threatened to pull season tickets or potentially not buy the products that you're.
I just don't.
And those are racist ass
I know
Peckerwoods.
that's the
whatever. Okay.
I just don't.
So now
believe
back to your point, and I said this on Friday. I'm going to say it again. So now we have another outspoken, strong-willed, smart. He's a Stanford guy, right? Stanford guy.
Yeah,
sure. So we've had two Stanford guys speak out over the last few days here saying the same thing.
Right.
A message is being sent. And I send them back the message, where were you when you had your chance? Because Kaepernick was brought in for a visit. I don't know why he didn't work out, but he just talked, right?
Correct.
For a long time. He talked to Pete Carroll and the GM. I don't know who else. I don't know if the owner participated. But for some reason, after it looked like this was the perfect fit for Colin Kaepernick, where the locker room is saying, please, we will embrace all things Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
That's the number one best fit to me. It's even better than the Ravens fit to me. And all of a sudden, for no apparent reason that we know of, they're out. That was the moment when I wish that whole locker room had stood up, because this league, as of last year, was 70% African American. 70%. I'm not sure what the breakdown would be of that team, but it's probably in that ballpark.
What's the ownership of the NFL?
Okay. It's all
100%.
100. Yeah. Okay. But I believe the Seahawks are strong-willed enough and gutsy enough, if they had stood up as one and said, we boycott. We will not play football until Colin Kaepernick is signed, because we clearly need him. What would have happened? Put your money where your mouth is. I know you're threatening your check, but what would have happened?
What did those football players at Missouri do with that stuff on campus?
Yeah.
What'd they do? They stopped practicing, no
And what
games.
happened?
And what happened? Chancellor stepped down, and the school president. It
Did
worked.
it not work?
It did work.
You know,
Okay.
my grandfather used to tell my brother and I, said, boy, saying is easy. Doing is the hard part.
It is hard. And I got you. This would be
Skip CC, it's easy
revolutionary.
To say, it's easy to say, I support what he did. I support my players. But when you actually have to do it, because we saw this with Clark Hunt, who's the owner, the CEO of the Chiefs.
Yes.
Oh, we would have no problem signing Colin Kaepernick. considering that
Yeah,
you got
it's easy when you-
Alex Smith under contract. You just took the
just
quarterback
took
in the
one.
10th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say. But I want to know one thing. You know, they talk about Colin Kaepernick T-shirt and the Fidel Castro on it. How many people start buying Redskins T-shirts? Who's offended by that?
Nobody.
Oh.
It's only when it's convenient for them.
There
and
you
that's
go.
where it comes, Skip.
There you
because,
go.
There's
because
nothing convenient about being offended by that, especially in that region.
No.
That's not.
We pick and choose what we want
Yes,
to be
that's
the
what he's talking
outcry.
about.
But I'm saying people who are outside of South Florida can say that it's about that. But if you're there, like to your point, he burned that bridge there.
He did.
I would have loved to see him in Miami,
Yeah.
and I would go as far as to say that Miami fans would have accepted.
So there's
Kaepernick if that didn't happen.
there's no forgiveness whatsoever, or people make mistakes.
There should be, but
I'm just saying, hear me out, Joy. There's no so I wore a T-shirt or I said something, and I can't say, you know what? In further review, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, and I didn't realize how much it affected people. So once you do it, that's it. You can't turn back.
I'm over it, but who am I to say to someone else
that's all
that
I'm
your
saying.
pain and suffering and what you've been offended by is irrelevant?
No,
they're not good.
But Skip, it wasn't good. But Skip, let's the interviewee now. He got real confrontational. He made it a lot more because you can't call somebody ignorant and then think they're gonna sit down.
He's a
and
Cuban
that's his
exile.
life.
Okay, but hold on, time out. Colin Kaepernick is black.
Mm-hmm.
That's his life too. These people. Hold on, Joey, in South Florida. Do you remember the guy that had his hands up, laying on his back, and he still got shot?
We get
Absolutely.
it. No doubt.
And that's my thing, Skip.
But I'm just saying, I can't. My father is black. My grandfather is black.
Yeah.
My brothers are black. I am a mixed woman. I'm biracial. I understand this. I'm not going to tell a Cuban exile how he should feel. I'm not going to do it.
No, we're not telling them how to feel. But they quick to tell us how we should feel. It's quick. I mean, we're the only race of people that something happens to us and we supposed to pray and forgive.
And get over it. Get over it. How many get over it?
Slavery happened. Hold on.
400, you get over it.
Slavery happened a long time ago. You've been voted. We got to get over everything, but everybody else gets to live. The Jewish community, the Cuban community, they get to hold on to their things forever.
I'm 1,000% with all of you, but do not discount how those Cuban exiles feel.
Not discounting it.
Okay.
I'm not, they have a right, Skip, but I'm just saying it's always we have to get over everything.
Guess who gets
Nobody else gets
discounted. Guess who gets discounted?
We do.
Okay.